Are you feeling held back in life by certain fears? You're not alone. In this podcast episode, we'll explore four common fears that can limit your progress and potential. But fear not, we'll also provide you with three effective ways to overcome fears and unlock the path to personal growth and success. So let's dive into and conquer these fears together. The title of this program is Live Without Limits, Reach Personal Success on a Daily Basis. And I'm your host, Davida Shinsky. And today, the title of our program is Four Common Fears Holding You Back and Three Ways That You Can Overcome Them. Many times you not done things because you're afraid. Personally, more times than I can count. However, a recent incident stood out for me and made me question the extent to which it has allowed my fears to shape how I live my life. I realized that in many aspects of my life, I had let fear instill firm boundaries that has a lot of control over different spheres in my life. Story time. I went with my family to a popular local amusement park, and it was amazing with a lot of rides and unlimited drink refills. We started going on rides, and I was having the time of my life. Then we had to go on the big roller coaster, which is the highlight of the park, looking at how high and long this roller coaster was. I told myself that considering my fear of heights, going on this ride would basically be suicide. My family can be so pushy, so I ended up going on the ride and saying I enjoyed it is an understatement. At first, I was terrified, but by the time the ride ended, I was smiling. I couldn't believe it had done something that I was terrified of, and I had enjoyed it. This experience gave me the courage to go on more interesting rides. My favorite one being the pendulum that gave an awesome view of the city. Had I not faced my fear, I would not have had half as much fun as I had on those rides. I went down a rabbit hole, thinking of how many areas of life have been restricted by fear. Fear in general is a major drawback. As I was reading more about fear and working towards improving myself, I learned that there are several types of fears that hinder us from being the best versions of ourselves and enjoying life to the fullest. These are explained below, as well as the ways that you can use to overcome these fears. So, the four common fears holding you back: fear of failure. Before trying a new thing, a lot of us hear a voice saying, "What if you fail or aren't good at it?" Sadly, we tend to give in to this voice and tell ourselves that there is a possibility that we will not do well. So why should we even bother? We end up not trying. What we fail to realize is that we won't know if we are good at something or not unless we give it a try. If we don't try, there will always be that possibility and potential that maybe we might have been good at it. Fear of abandonment or being alone. When scared of being alone, we find ourselves constantly worried about how we interact with other people and how they perceive us. We are in a perpetual search for approval from others. We end up missing out on things that make us happy because we want to ensure that everyone else is happy. How, how often do we hear the phrase, what will people think? We become people pleasers who are surrounded by happy people while we are miserable. Fear of responsibility. In some instances, we are scared to try something new because we think we won't be able to handle the responsibility. I had heard people who turn down promotions at work. They think they won't be able to handle the responsibilities that come with the new role. What they fail to realize is that if they were not eligible for the role, it probably wouldn't have been offered to them. Responsibilities always seem too much before we take them on. Fear of, of the past repeating itself. Just because certain things have happened in the past doesn't mean they will happen again. We grow and learn. People's circumstances also change. Sometimes we're afraid to try things because we do, or rather, we did them in the past and we got unfavorable results. Or we know people who have tried things and it didn't end up well for them. Our past experiences should serve as learning opportunities rather than signals of the things we should not never do again. So, what are the three things that you can do to overcome these fears? Well, focus on the evidence. Oftentimes, we fail to look at the evidence or proof that works in our favor. When we fear, look at the proof that justifies or dismisses the fear you have. For instance, when you fear trying something new because you're scared you won't get it right, look back at the things that you or the people close to you have tried and succeeded in completing. If you or they could do it, then you surely can do it now. Another example is when you're scared to go to the gym for the first time. You're worried that everyone is going to look at you and judge you for being unfit. When you look at the evidence, you will realize that everyone in the gym is there to work on themselves and not to look at the next person. Putting evidence into consideration will help you get over some of the fears that you might have. Talk about it. Talking to others who have been where you currently are will help you get a new perspective on things. They will be able to share with you how they overcame their fear and what is on the other side of the fear. Seeing that others have overcome the fear obstacle will help you realize that you can do it too and that you are not alone. Depending on where you're based, there are hotlines that you can call to get support from qualified professionals. Reward yourself, gathering the strength to face fear and actually doing something that you aren't comfortable with doing is not easy. When you do it, Recognize that you win and reward yourself. You deserve a treat. You can overcome common fears and achieve your goals. Overcoming fear is not easy. It takes time and a lot of work. When your fear and we focus on the excuses and get distracted from the goal, it is easy to pretend like we aren't being influenced by fear and we aren't being there as being factual. But in reality, life is all about taking risks and trying. The biggest step in overcoming a fear is acknowledging that it exists. Once we have done this, we need to also accept that on many occasions we will fail and fall, but that doesn't mean that our story needs to end there. Overcoming fear allows us to get up and try again until we get to where we want to get. Looking at evidence, talking to others, recognizing the excuses, and developing a growth mindset are some of the ways that you can adopt to overcome fear and work towards being the person you want to be. So that concludes our discussion on the 4 common fears that hold us back and the 3 powerful ways to overcome them. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to control our lives. By facing our fears head on and implementing these strategies, we can break free from their grip and embrace future full of growth and achievement. I want to take this time to thank you for listening, and we hope this episode has improved you to take the first courageous steps toward a better, fear free you.